So good morning, everybody. How are you today? I hope you all had a great weekend. This video I'm gonna make is a little bit out of the ordinary for what I normally talk about, but I got involved in a conversation this morning, and I think that it warrants some recognition. So we live in a society today that absolutely prides itself on irresponsibility. And I mean that with all my heart. Seriously, if you're pregnant and you don't want to be pregnant, go get an abortion. It's not your fault. If you're, living in sin and not married to your partner, it's not your fault. Don't worry about it. If you're gay, you were born that way. Now they're starting with the transgenders and the pedophiles. They're born that way. That's just the way that they are. When somebody tells me, uses the phrase, they're born that way, it's like nails on a chalkboard to me. I'm going to be very candid in this video. So if you have kids around, you might not want your kids to hear what I'm about to say. Bull crap. Okay? Just because I'm born with brown hair, that doesn't stop me from changing my color. And you know what? When I get a color that I don't like, I have to suffer the consequence. Okay? There are certain things that you cannot change about yourself. You cannot change the color of your skin. You cannot change your nationality. Okay? And another thing you cannot change is your gender. Now, you can put lipstick all over your face. It doesn't make you a lady. You could stuff your bra or even go and get augmentation. It doesn't make you a lady, because your DNA, let me tell you something. You could dress it up. You could change your outward appearance. You could mutilate your genitals. You can do all of this stuff. You can put makeup all over yourself. But when you get burned up in a fire, guess what your DNA is going to say that you are? You're a man. You cannot change your gender. Okay? So don't tell me that you're born that way. Furthermore, if you're gay, okay, let me talk to you a minute about being gay. Okay? Being gay is a choice. Okay? Now, you may be born attracted to the same sex. Don't get me wrong. I was born attracted to the same sex. I have always favored women over men. They're prettier, they smell better, they're softer, they're less hairy. Well, the feminists are getting a hold of that. But you get the gist of what I'm saying. Women are just more attractive to me than men are. That doesn't mean that I'm not attracted to men. Doesn't mean that at all. But I have always been attracted to women. Okay? When I met my husband, I was involved with a woman. I made a choice to be with my husband. And it didn't have anything to do with sex or anything like that. It had to do with the fact that I made a conscious choice. I said, I can either stay with this woman and live my life out the way I'm living, or I can go and marry somebody and be a mom and start a family. And that's what I chose to do. And do you know why? Because ever since I was a little girl, that's all I wanted to do was be a mother. Okay? So you absolutely may be born same-sex attracted, but whether or not you act upon that is a choice. What you are saying when you tell somebody, I'm just born this way, what you are saying is, I'm going to make some choices here, and I don't want to suffer the consequences of them. It's just the way I am. I can't control myself. Well, that's a load of garbage. You absolutely can control yourself. I say this to you in love, and I say this to you from experience, okay? I have lived my life on both sides of the fence, okay? I have a transgender brother, and he will always be my brother, whether he likes it or not. I will not respect him by calling her she. I will not respect him by calling her Michelle. I won't do any of that stuff. I won't do it. I won't play into his delusion. The bottom line is, what he has is called gender dysphoria. Okay? It is a mental illness. It is not a gender identity crisis. It is a mental illness. It has been in the psychiatric books for decades, and they can actually help him, but he has to choose to be helped for it. But he chooses to live in a fairy tale world. Now, in this conversation I'm having earlier today, well, it wasn't really a conversation. It was a conversation that was going on between people, and I just had to step in. You know me. I just had to step in and share my story. But anyways, the one lady's comment was, well, who are they hurting? Well, let me tell you who they're hurting, okay? Now, we can look at this from many different age groups. Okay, so if you're, 18 to 24, you're not married, you're confused, you think a surgery is going to make you feel better, then you just go do you. You just go do you. You're not hurting anybody but yourself. Sadly, you are destroying the very person you are to create this fake person. Okay? That's what you're doing. Okay, so that's the one group. Let's talk about children for a minute. I'm sorry, but if you are giving your young child hormone blockers, or you are opting to have this child get a surgery done, or anything like that, because that happens, you are no better than Dr. Mengele in the Nazi concentration camps. You are experimenting on your own child. You're actually worse than Dr. Mengele, because he would have never experimented on his own children, just yours. Okay? So, you are experimenting on your child. You deserve to be put in jail. I'm sorry, because you have a mental illness all your own. You're just as corrupted as the kid that you were entrusted to teach wrong from right. I think that's what it comes down to. There is no wrong or right anymore. Guys, without basic definitions of wrong and right, we cannot sustain ourselves as a society. You have to have basic definitions of wrong or right. Black is black and white, okay? Boy and girl, man and woman. We have to have these clear-cut definitions, because the more we blur these lines, the worse the problem is getting. Okay, and if you don't see that, you're blind as a bat. Okay? So, anyways, so that's the young children part. Let's talk about situations like my own brother. Let's talk about who he hurt. Okay? My own brother says he's known since he was young that he was a woman. That he was trapped in a man's body. But it did not stop him from taking not just one wife. He got married twice, okay? The first wife found out about it, and that ended real quick and real bad. We didn't know about that until later, of course. The second wife, they went on to have 4 children. When the youngest child was about 7 years old, putting the older one, I think, around 11 or 12, okay? Because there was a set of twins in between the youngest and the oldest. His wife came home from work one day, and my brother was sitting at the table in full drag. Out of the blue. You're going to tell me he didn't hurt his wife? You're going to tell me he didn't hurt his children? That's who he hurt. And I wish I could say that my brother is an isolated incident, but he's not. This happens more times than not, okay? Where these men go out and they start families and then decide, oh, I'm a girl. Everybody must play along with my delusion. We tried to understand what my brother was going through. We tried. Okay, but it's really hard to deal with that. Okay? It's really hard to deal with that, because the whole time we weren't thinking about him. We were thinking about the people who were forced to play along with his delusion. His wife, who now had to refer to herself as a lesbian. Okay? His children, who now had to call him mom and tell their friends that their parents are a lesbian couple. Yeah, I'm sure that didn't hurt anybody. I'm sure that didn't hurt anybody. And this happens more times than not. Okay, so these people are in fact hurting people. Now, to turn around and say, well, I was just born this way, then you should have lived your life that way. Why you got to drag 5 other people into your madness? You know? Now, trust me when I say this, because I'm not that type of person who's going to beat you down for what you do to yourself. You want to hurt yourself? We live in a free country. You go hurt yourself. Go do whatever you want. I have a problem with you when you start hurting other people in the process of hurting yourself. Okay, and that's what happens more often than not, is other people get hurt, not just the transgender person. Okay, that's why 98% of them have no contact with their families. Because their behavior and the choices they're making are such a sabotage to everything that already exists in their lives. It's a sabotage. So they have to sever pretty much all ties. You either accept me or we're done. I never want to speak to you again. And that's what it got to with my brother. And that's where we're at. We have not seen or spoke to my brother since 2000. I'm trying to get an idea here. Let's see, maybe 2012. We haven't seen or spoke to him. Not only that, but he poisoned his children against us, told his children we're all crazy and that we're unstable and all of this because we didn't want to play along with his delusion. So let me tell you something. Life is filled with choices and life is filled with consequences. And whether you like it or not, you're going to deal with those consequences, because for every yin, there's a yang, you guys. There has to be balance. There's good, evil, yin, yang. It's balance, okay? So if you're going to just go out and make all these decisions and you're going to choose to do certain things, then you're going to have to suffer the consequences of those things, whether society tells you to or not. And now, because of the whole transgender, we're born this way, now you already got pedophiles right behind them saying, hey, we're born this way too. We want to be who we want to be. I mean, how far are we going to go down this rabbit hole, you guys? How far are we going to go down this rabbit hole? This is an important topic. You know, and it goes beyond your sexuality. It goes beyond that. It's about an entire society. It's not just this nation. It's happening globally. It's an entire society, an entire generation of people who are completely unaccountable for their actions. And that's a scary, scary thing. That's a really scary thing. And on one hand, it's okay for them to be the way that they are, but it's not okay for your kids to be the way that they are. So if you have a kid who's speaking out against it, they're automatically hateful and a bigot. So it's very one-sided. It's very inclusive, you know. And you know what? I'm telling you right now, guys, I have gay friends. I have transgender friends. I know these people. They're lovely people. I'm sorry. They are. They're lovely people. They just want to be happy, whatever. Whatever. But I will tell you right now, you are not born that way. You have made a choice, and the consequences will follow. Okay? You may be living the little fairy tale dream you want to live. But it might cost you your mom. It might cost you your dad. It might cost you your brothers and sisters. It might cost you your marriage. It might cost you your children. And people are walking away willingly. They're just giving up and walking away. Well, they don't accept me. Yeah, we don't accept you. Because you've been a man my entire life. And now you want to play dress up. It doesn't work that way. There's consequences for your decisions. And you have to deal with them, okay? So don't be pissed off at me when I call you out on them, because you have to deal with them, just like I have to deal with consequences of my choices. I make choices every day, and I have to deal with the consequences. Sometimes I'm right, sometimes I'm wrong. My cross to bear. But Stop saying you're born this way, because just because you're born a certain way doesn't mean that you have to choose that lifestyle. You choose that lifestyle. I'm sorry. I love you, but that's the truth. Have a great day, everybody. I'll talk to you next time. Hey guys, just as an addition, I just wanted to make this disclaimer. One of the reasons that I don't talk too much about things that are happening in the world and things that we actually should be having conversations about is because I have a very, very low tolerance for excuses. Okay, so a lot of times when I come off talking about this stuff, I come off as though I'm insensitive to other people's needs. Let me tell you something. I am not insensitive to the issue at hand, okay? It is an extremely sensitive subject, not just for the people who are going through it, but for the people who are not going through it, who are being forced to deal with it, okay? It is an extremely sensitive issue because we are talking about a mental illness. We are not talking about anything else. And we are talking also about not taking responsibility for your choices. So when I do talk about this stuff, I tend to be extremely matter of fact about it. Because you know what? The bottom line is life is just one big basket of choices that we have to make. And everything that we do is a choice. We can choose to give into our flesh, or we can choose to live in a spiritual way. We can choose to be confused, or we can choose to be knowledgeable about things. We can choose. Everything is a choice, you guys. So please don't mistake my harshness for insensitivity, because I am sensitive to it. But you have to also understand that I am very affected by this issue personally. My entire family has been affected by this issue. So it's not something that I'm speaking carelessly about. It is something that I'm speaking out of experience and personal knowledge of. Okay, so I just wanted to just real quick make that disclaimer, because I don't want anybody to think, oh, she's just insensitive, or she's mean, she's not loving. It's none of the above. Sometimes when we speak out in truth, we are very black and white about things, and that's what I'm doing here, is I'm speaking out in truth, and that's it. That's all I wanted to say, just so that you understand that it's not something that I'm taking lightly. Okay, I love you all. Talk to you next time.